Hello, Ziggy Haim, and congratulations about being number 402 on the PWI Top 500 of 2021.
Thank you so much. It's wild to me. It's very wild. Like, it's hard to process, but it's just like, it's very, very cool to be part of.
What were your initial reactions when you got the news?
Well, like, even when I started wrestling not that long ago, like 4 years ago, women weren't even in the 500. So like, that's crazy and not even something I really thought about. And then I was told beforehand that I was going to be in the PWI because of like doing the interview. It was just like, hey, here you are. And I didn't really know before that. So I was like, oh, cool. That's amazing. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's very stunning. And it's like crazy now that it like came out, because before it was just like, oh, okay, cool, I'm on it. But then you have like the physical proof and like I'm the picture on the page and everything. And it's crazy.
It's not just the number and not just the profile, but
it's
you have a picture. That's a huge deal.
Yes. And my favorite photographer, Sophie, took the picture. So I'm super excited. I love it.
That's right. That's at Polycult 3.
Yes.
Awesome. Yep. Awesome. Yeah. And what an iconic moment. What a fantastic show for you. That seems so fitting that they would include a picture from that particular show, because of course that was when you first like won the Ryse Championship.
Yeah, that was when I won my first championship. And I think when I submitted to like even be possibly in the rankings, I like put in that I was like the first woman in the like Pennsylvania area, maybe all of Pennsylvania, that's held like the heavyweight title of a company, which I think is pretty huge. And yeah, it's cool that they used the picture so I could have that moment, because I think that was really like the big turning point for me in the year.
100%. And I think it's so fitting too, because you're absolutely right. You being the first, as far as I can tell, woman in this region of these regions promotions to hold that main title, and then to be included on a list that has been traditionally all male wrestlers in the past. I mean, this is a historic year. Last year, they made history by including 21 women. I believe that there are 26 women and non-binary wrestlers on this year's list. So every year, the list gets more inclusive, but you are complete evidence that it's also goes hand in hand with how the wrestling landscape is changing too, in that more women and non-cis men are holding these titles.
Absolutely. That, and I think this year, like after 2020 and on, it's shown a lot more people that have become like big and have made a name for themselves in the year, not just in like what titles they held and things like that, but in what they did creatively as well, because we've been able to like branch out a lot more since the pandemic and things like that, because we were forced to. But I think it's really cool that now it's like it's all people. It's not designated to cis men getting titles, because now I think we've realized that like pro wrestling's more than that.
Sure. Yeah. And you see that on the various like profiles of the various wrestlers who made the list. You see a lot of credits given to men and women and everybody on those lists wrestling every different type of promotion and every different type of match, including a lot of intergender wrestling. So like clearly that's been a big wave in the last year or two.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really cool that that's like become the thing, because I know like when we first met and started speaking, it was because we were talking about advocating for intergender wrestling, which I think is like crazy now, because it's become thankfully so widely accepted since, at least like from what I've seen. And what I've sort of like come to witness is that it's become a lot more widely accepted since people started advocating for it a lot more. It became not just a male list for the PWI 500. So I think it's really making a lot of steps, and that's awesome.
Yeah, and I know that you work for a lot of different promotions at this point, but like Rise is definitely a promotion. I mean, not just because you're their champion, but I associate you so strongly with Rise Wrestling because
Right.
so much of the amazing work that I first got to see you do was through that promotion. So, and intergender wrestling has just been a matter of fact there. Like when I started
Absolutely.
going to see shows there a couple years ago, they were doing it before a lot of local indies were doing it. So I
Yeah.
think it's like it's cool that Rise gets to also kind of, see that that has a impact and know that that was the like right course of action to be taking this whole time.
Absolutely. It's yeah, it's really cool to see it grow and become a lot less of like a contested thing. Like it's a lot more rare to see people that are like, oh, I don't think men and women should be pro wrestling. Like that's a little more few and far between now, I feel like in the past few years, which I am very happy with.
Yeah, like even when I started really becoming an avid wrestling fan in 2018, I still think that there was a huge pushback on intergender wrestling. And now we're only
Absolutely.
a couple years down the road from that. And I feel like you're right. It's been a lot more just, yeah, everyone's just kind of going
Yeah.
along with it.
I've been thinking about that a lot recently. Like it was kind of just something that gradually happened. And then I realized, like, wow, that really was an issue. And now it's not as much of an issue. Like advocating for that really did something. So that's really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And it's a testament also to the fact that like it's a match style like any other match style. So there's always going to be people who don't prefer it, but now it's being treated just as a legitimate match style, which I think is totally right. It's just
Yeah,
something
now
that
that,
some people are going to enjoy.
and it's not even, I'm very happy that it's gotten to a point where it's not even so much like advertising as like specifically this is intergender wrestling, like making that a whole like gimmick in of itself, where it's
Mm-hmm.
just more like this is a match that's happening. We don't have to talk about what the gender of the person is. This is just
Mm-hmm.
a match. So like it's not even a discussion anymore. It's just seen and accepted, which is really like was always my ultimate goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be exciting for people to see your name and other names in matches. And that's the whole
Right.
point. You want to build that excitement no matter what the gender of the opponents are. Like it's just
Yeah.
exciting to see Ziggy Haim versus so and so. Like we want to be excited about those wrestlers meeting in the ring. And I think that's really where we're at now.
Right. Like I think if you don't make gender an issue, it isn't an issue. Like in terms of like wrestling and things like that. If you don't want to be like, oh, the like this man is wrestling this woman, like you don't, if you don't say anything, people are still like, oh, okay, like just let it be accepted in art form.
So outside of just simply, also getting a championship this year, like this has been another year that you have been embracing like your like evolved character. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering, in addition to the championship, how you feel like how do you feel you got to this number? Like how do you like what about 2021 for Ziggy Haim made you number 402 on this list?
I believe that this year I really did begin to evolve myself a lot more. I became a lot more focused on who I want to be and what I want to put across. And I think a lot of that, I'm not so consistently like thinking in my head, like, what do I do next? What do I need to do in the ring? I'm thinking about myself more as a whole. And that's brought a lot more to me. Is just like not thinking so much about everything. I think that I hit the point where I just kind of like allowed it all to happen. And I'm like seasoned enough in wrestling now that I can just let it happen. So I think that's become the year when I've like gotten into my stride.
2021 obviously was a year where a lot of people made a return to ring after a prolonged absence. And I know that you had some time off as well as most people did. So what are the highlights from 2021 for you? Like what are some of the like the return to ring matches that you were most excited to go into this year?
Well, my very first match back post pandemic was in the first Polycult Party show against Lee Moriarty. And that like MV Young and like the Polyam Cult shows have like I could never like thank him enough for that atmosphere and what he's created with that, because that, like, starting that really is what I think built me into 2021. As well as I've really been enjoying and looking forward to the chances I get to be a manager at AIW. I've been doing a lot of like managing Derek Dillinger and being in the production. And I haven't before that had a lot of experience in any tag team. Like I didn't have experience in tag team wrestling really, or managing, but I've always wanted to be a manager. I've always loved managing. Like the Sinister Minister and Daphne were like, they were what made me want to be in this business, and Mick Foley. But like being able to hone that craft as well and sort of like flesh out what I do in wrestling has been really awesome. So I've been looking forward to like all of that, like being able to just learn from stuff like that too.
Yeah, you've had such a versatile year too. I mean, you've gotten to be manager, you've gotten to be in tags, you've gotten to be face and like the scrappy champion of a promotion, and you've also gotten to be a mega heel. Like you're running the gamut, and I think that flexibility and that versatility is really like another reason why you making this list seems so right. Like there's lots of wrestlers on this list who do a lot of different things, but you don't seem to get pigeonholed into one direction, and that's really good.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't on purpose either. But I think that the way that my character has evolved and the way that like Ziggy Haim just has evolved in wrestling is I'm lucky to have that very like versatile like energy that I could really be anything in terms of like being a good guy, being a bad guy, being like a manager, stuff like that. I don't feel like there's anything that Ziggy Haim like couldn't logically be, and that helps me a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Do you feel like if you had been given a couple more opportunities, like you've gotten these opportunities this year, if you had chased those opportunities back before you evolved your character, do you feel like you would have made this list, or do you feel like that old character, there was stuff that was still holding you back?
That's a good question. I honestly do not at all think that I could have done what I've achieved in like not my full formed self, like before having like a realization of character. And I mean, obviously I'm still evolving, but back when I was in like my first couple of years of being like very unsure of myself, I absolutely could not like take these opportunities and run with them in the same way, I don't think.
Wow. Is there anyone who didn't make this list that you would love to see join you in 2022? Because let's face it, you're not going anywhere. So it's only up from here. So who do you want to see on that list next year?
I would love to see, I mean, if I'm honest, 500 is a lot of people. So if these people are in the list, forgive me. I would love to see Calvin Couture and Tyler Klein, The Runway. I think that they are fantastic. I trained with Calvin, and being able to see him be like who he always has been and also like in a tag team is really cool. I think Katie Arquette has had a fantastic year. She's fantastic and has been IWC's champion for like a long time. And that's something that is very deserving. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people, especially like when I think people in like the Pittsburgh area, even like the like close like Ohio area, Jocelyn Navarro, I think that she's awesome. I love her. She's been absolutely killing it, and I have no doubt that she'll be on the list next year. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite match from this year? Like if you had to pick one to put in the time capsule.
Oh man. I enjoyed my match at Enjoy with Erica Lee. I liked having a match where Derek was my manager as well. I think that was very fun. Because I think that's like a dynamic that you don't see very often is like women wrestling and then the male counterpart valet type thing. So I thought that was like a fun dynamic that was cool to do. My enjoy match with Edith Surreal, while she was still life with apricots and pears, I really enjoyed. I don't know. I've actually done a lot of cool stuff this year. My match with Effie is probably like one of my favorite matches I've ever done.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the matches listed on your cage match, and it's like in the span of 1 month, you just had like some really baller matches. Like you got your match against Effie, you have your match against Erica Lee that aired at that point. Later in July, you were in the Odyssey, the Enjoy Odyssey, like tons of really great things happening just all summer long, in addition to everything else you did in 2021. Like you had a really good summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I got through a lot, and also like having those tapings was cool too, because that's more like content to put out, all of that kind of stuff.
Well, so I guess the inevitable question is, where do you go from here? Like, what are we going to see from Ziggy Haim in the next year?
I mean, I would just love to build on what I'm doing right now. Like I said, I feel like I'm honing my craft, but I'm nowhere near a finished product. So I would love to keep building on who Ziggy Haim is, maybe even evolve a little bit who Ziggy Haim is. We all have our eras. We all have different moments of creativity that comes to us. So yeah, we have a while to see what I do in that span of time until the next list.
I can't wait. I'd love to see the different eras of Ziggy Haim. I think based on this shirt, I'm just saying maybe like a country western era. Like
actually, yeah. I mean, I was raised in Colorado, so like I'm no stranger to the West, but also like my mom's from Alabama, so like I'm weird. Yeah,
you've got some good blends there. You could like
claim to like. Now I need a lot of like, I need like cowboy boots.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Absolutely. Well, anyone watching and listening needs to hook Ziggy up with like a pair of cowboy boots and some like cool like fringe shirts, I think.
Like hot pink cowboy boots for sure.
Yes, 1000%. You do that, you'll be champion of anywhere you go.
Anywhere. Absolutely.
Well, congratulations again, Ziggy. We can't wait to see what you do in the next year and beyond. And congratulations at number 402. Welcome to the PWI.
Thank you so much.